Welcome back to Six Pack Cinema. This is not a movie episode. It's not a headliner episode. This episode is all about True Detective Season 3, Episodes 1 and 2. We're going to do each episode of this show because it demands it. Thank you for tuning in.
Dude, you should review movies.
Oh my god, yes.
Okay, I've had a couple, so movie review.
All right, what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. I hope that you guys are watching True Detective and not just listening to a podcast about True Detective, even though you didn't see it. That'd be super weird, but we appreciate it either way. True Detective. Interesting, because I think Season 1 took everyone by storm. I think it's regarded as one of the best seasons. Season 2 was pretty much a big letdown. I still think it was good. If it didn't have the True Detective name, it would have been okay, but we don't even need to get into that.
Yeah.
Or do you, Dave, did you want to?
No, I was just going to say, I think it's not as bad as a lot of people, misremember because of that. They compare it to Season 1, where,
yeah, but
it's
now,
still a fantastic episode of, television.
Whereas I hated it thoroughly.
Yeah, I if it was its own thing, I would have been like, this is okay. But now that we have Season 3, and we were about 5 minutes into this episode, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is True Detective. This is what I want. I think they should. Nick Pizzolatto should never be able to set his stories in an urban environment again, because the crew and him are so good at capturing these dumpy, small towns in the South. This is in Arkansas. So the other one was what, in Louisiana?
Yep.
So
they're both set in the 90s, right?
This is the 80s.
Parts of it. Well,
yeah,
this is the 80s, 90s, and 2015.
Yeah,
yes.
And the first season was 90s, correct?
90s and up to 2015.
I believe so.
Okay, all right.
So yeah, we can talk about plot points and characters and all that. But first, I just gave my gut reaction. Basically, I was hooked. The color palette and the theme and the setting alone are great. Before we even knew the story, the story seems good too. What are your guys' gut reactions, John? You can go first.
My gut reaction is, even though I love Mahershala Ali, I was kind of skeptical because I didn't really pitch, because when I think of True Detective, I think of Matthew McConaughey, grungy and dirty and weird, and so I was kind of skeptical going into it. But holy shit, was he amazing! He was able to play a guy in the 80s and 90s, and also a guy with Alzheimer's in 2015, seamlessly. It's just he amazes me, and I'm so glad he's the star of this one.
I thought he did really well. Dave?
I agree. I think the start of this, at least, is much better than Season 2 started. Mahershala Ali is phenomenal, especially in the 2015 timeline. I keep forgetting they didn't just cast an older actor. He legitimately seems like an old man in that timeline.
He changed his voice.
Yeah. It's much more gravelly.
Yeah.
I will say I am a little disappointed that it seems like for the third season in a row, it's going to deal with corrupted officials in a sex ring. They're not covering any new ground with that.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe that's what this is.
I disagree. I think my theory later on will debunk that, and it's going in a different direction.
Yeah, it could be a red
then
herring.
our theories are different.
Okay, good. I don't think this has anything to do with sex this time.
I think that I was worried that with the different timelines, it was going to be all right, are they just copy and pasting the formula for Season 1? And is that going to be not fun and kind of take away from it? Because Season 1, it was 3 different timelines. It was crazy. It was that tone. And we have a lot of that same shit here in Season 3. I wonder if some people are saying this is the same thing. I'm not. He does it so well that I don't care that it's similar in the 3 timelines, in one case over 3 timelines in the 80s and the South. I don't care the similarities because I think he does it. They do them so well. Has there been any feedback about rinse and repeat Season 1?
I saw on Reddit some worries ahead of the episode, but I read discussion threads today and nobody seemed to be complaining about it now. Everyone was kind of nervous before the season came out that he was going to be doing it, but I think it's pretty unanimous. These first 2 episodes were above and beyond whatever anyone thought they would be.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I agree. We have some. I even love like the characters they have here. We have Wayne and Roland, the two detectives, and Roland is definitely a backseat to Wayne. Unlike the first season where they were more 50-50, maybe like 55-45 going in favor of McConaughey. This is definitely Ali, the character Wayne's show. Like Roland's his partner, but it's not a buddy-buddy situation like the last two, I don't think. Doesn't seem like
No.
No, not at all. But I do think this is my favorite relationship between the lead detectives out of all 3 seasons, because it's not really contentious between them at all. They seem like good friends who like respect each other and have been working with each other for a while, which is really different than we got in season 1 or 2.
Yeah, season 1. I'm not going to talk about season 2 because I frankly don't remember it that well. Season 1, it was a contentious relationship. It was they needed Woody Harrelson's character to kind of keep McConaughey in line. They don't need it. These guys are they're on the same page. They know exactly what they're going to do. They work well together, and I think that's great. There's one less thing to complicate things, so you can focus more on the story at hand, which isn't a bad thing when it does. It worked amazing for the first season, but that's another thing to make it different and still the same, different but the same. So it's good.
Yeah, I mean, in that opening scene where they're shooting at rats at the dump, like they went through basically kind of their relationship and the differences because like it's slightly like he's shooting at rats, talking about it. Roland tries to shoot a fox. He's like, "Don't shoot a fox," and it doesn't turn into a thing. He just kind of respects him. He's like, "Okay, not going to shoot a fox." And then what else happened? He was like, "Do you ever pay for sex when you're in Vietnam?" He's like, "No, I guess I'm a romantic." And it wasn't like contentious at all. But they're showing that Roland, I guess, is more of like the wild side or a little more loose cannon than Wayne. Yep. But Wayne's, we find out he's a tracker basically, and he goes on hunts and he shoot a boar because that's a respectful like match. And when he was in Vietnam, he would like spend hours just hunting tracks, and it's his intuitiveness in it that like that's just gonna be his thing. So I thought they got his character across pretty well with that scene and just those little snippets. That good shows like this are so good at subtly telling you things without screaming it. Like I think the way that we found out he was in Nam was like they didn't say even Vietnam, like, not even over there. You didn't even pay for it over there.
I think they said like when you were in the jungle you didn't pay for any.
Yeah, it was subtle. Yeah, I like that. And then they get up and he goes, maybe we can find someone to beat the shit out of. And I was like, okay. So they're like friends. They're buddies. And then they did find someone to beat the shit out of later on.
Which, before we move on from that scene, Shannon is up and down in arms. She swears to God the fox is symbolic of something coming forward. The fact that they didn't kill it and they called it a predatory rodent. So that's very True Detective to call it something like that early on.
I think it's more symbolic of that Roland is more pragmatic. He was like, yeah, those things are vermin where I'm from. You kill them. Whereas Mahershala Ali Hayes said, no, like it's innocent, no need to kill it. So this is one of my theories, but I think in the 80s they end up not being 100% sure, and they just pin it on someone they think is the most likely person. And Roland is the one who's okay with it, whereas Mahershala Ali, that's why he quits the force.
Maybe. I think it was also more towards the how they dealt with the sex offender. They couldn't kill it because he didn't do anything, although he's a predatory rodent. Yeah. That whole thing with the sex offender was wild. Shows you that they have a very little lack of respect for the rules. 1980 wasn't that long ago in terms of what you can and cannot do, right? In terms of they're
40 years ago.
I know, but they're still. It's not like the 20s, They're still in favor. They're still in favor of beating the shit out of somebody behind the books, Yeah,
it was wild. There's a lot of overtones with animals and the corrupt, like. He says, I hunt things now, and it's like he goes and actually hunts animals, but he's also talking about he hunts killers and predators. And they played that throughout both episodes. They played that theme of like everything we were just talking about. It's interesting. True Detective, like this writing, which is why Vice, where I said it's not subtle at all. like there's good writing like this. It gives you the nuggets, and then it makes as a viewer, you go, oh, that's that, and you feel smart for figuring out. Even though everyone in the room figures out, like he talks about his wife and how she was really smart, and she was this, and she was that, and she was a writer, and she was a teacher, and then like a couple scenes later, he meets the woman who's a teacher, and as an audience, we're all thinking, oh
shit,
that's gonna be his wife. That's why like. The subtlety of writing like that is so much better. Also, the way that he talked to his wife when he said, how is it here? The audience all knows how is it being black here, but they don't say it. It's subtle. Like that's what makes True Detective and season 1 and now this season, it looks like so good. It's that they give you 80% or 70% of the information, and they know that you're smart enough to finish it, where bad shows hammer you over the head. And it would have been like, you get a lot of feet. Like it would have been so much more obvious what he was asking.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
It would have been like, "How's the white people here? They treat you all right?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say like those were a couple things that I love and I think are what make like this show and good writing good. You want to break down some of the ancillary characters? We have the dad, who is in *Halt and Catch Fire*.
Scoot McNairy.
Yeah, he plays.
Love that guy.
We don't really know much about him right now, right? They're not him and his wife aren't married anymore.
No, they're married.
No, they're not
separate.
sleeping
They're
together.
like, yeah.
So
They're not doing well, and they only know each other 3 months before they got married. They had 2 kids out of wedlock, or 1 kid out of wedlock, and perhaps another bastard daughter of some other man. He's got problems.
his mom and dad don't think that the Julie is his, the 2 kids.
Yeah.
She doesn't think Julie is his. Now, you said you didn't look at any Reddit posts. There was some people that pointed out that on the wall there's a picture of what's his name, Will, and then there's a picture of Julie, and there's very clearly a picture in the middle that was missing.
I thought that was going to be the wedding photo.
Yeah, that's what I assumed that was.
That's what I assume, and it was just like a nod to them being in a bad relationship.
Yeah.
Who was the uncle? So the uncle, whose brother is that? His or hers?
It was her
it's the
brother.
mom's cousin.
Mom's
Now-
cousin, so not the brother. It's that was the uncle, but
They say he acts like an uncle. He's closer to an uncle than like a cousin.
okay.
But
So
he's
another
really
subtle
her
thing.
cousin.
Another subtle thing when they said, "All right, yeah, my cousin stayed over in his room," it was like, oh, connecting the dots of all the bad things you saw in that room, the peephole, the
porn.
magazines. Because at first you're like, oh, what the hell is this kid into? This is really getting weird.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it makes sense. There's another man involved. Okay.
So we creeped out by the uncle. We think he's involved. I saw some theories going out there that the uncle was a friendly face because there's people that say. So if you picked up on it, they said they were going to visit that new puppy, but then the other puppy kid said they never had plans on it being to that day. So the kids clearly left and they lied about where they were going. So because we believe they went knowingly meeting someone.
Yes, and also they told their dad that the kid was bringing the puppy to the park, and the kid said, "No, I told them they could come here, but we didn't decide on today."
So it's definitely a lie to start.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, to get out.
Yeah.
I quickly on the uncle before we move on. I think he's probably going to end up being Julie's dad, the daughter's dad, but I think he's going to be a red herring. He's not going to be the one who actually did it.
Yeah, I saw that floating around that he's the real dad there, which would be interesting.
It'd be wild.
Yeah.
That'd be unfortunate, but yeah.
That's the South.
Yeah.
His name is Dan O'Brien, which is my last name.
That's too bad for you. I think another important thing that they made note of when they were interrogating all the school kids and everyone around, they were like, all right, well, he's lying. Well, yeah, he's lying, but is it a lying or is it just a teenager lying? They're making the differences between the levels of lying.
Oh yeah,
so
they did that with the dad as well.
Yeah, so I think the Will lying about where they're going, I think that might end up being just like the lower level lying. Like, yeah, I need an excuse to get out of the house. We're gonna go meet this dog up here. We've all lied to our parents on how to get out of the house, you know.
Yeah, there was another quote like the in the 90s, the detective said, and you believed him, and he was like, you believe he's a trustworthy person or something like that. He's like, I believed him about that. I don't know if he's filing his taxes or whatever, something like that. So
Yeah.
so that's another play on like the levels of lying people do, and what do you have to believe and what do you have to believe, and that was a kind of theme. What about the character, the trash man? Dude rides his go-kart with a tractor hooked up behind him around town, and the whole town knows him as the trash man. That's the kind of character that I love, like in a small town.
Yeah, he's gonna be the target of the local scorn for sure. They already started.
Towns have these weird people. In my
Yeah.
town in Illinois, we had a guy that would walk around with 3 tennis balls, and he would bounce them, juggling them, and he would just walk all day, just everywhere.
We had one of them. Only he had sticks he would throw around. Same guy?
The trash man had my favorite line in the whole 2 episodes,
What was that?
which was, I don't know if it's going to be loud enough for us to hear, but this line.
You like kids generally?
Dude, what the fuck's the right answer to that?
That's the right answer.
He's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I love kids. Oh, so you're starting a sex
okay.
ring. No, I don't like kids. Oh, so you killed them. The fuck? That was one of my favorite lines. The other line was when they were beating up that prison, that pedophile dude, and he was describing the prison rape. I have that line queued up too.
Put him in Holden. If his parole violated, he'll be back in Wrightsville tomorrow. Full sentence. Talk shit about us. I have monstrous niggas fuck him to death in this cell. You hear me, boy? He will bleed black cock.
That was a vivid description of prison rape. Jesus.
It's aggressive.
You will bleed black cock.
That was very terrifying.
That was good.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
I loved his partner's little reaction to it. I was like, Jesus, man.
Yeah, that was a vivid
We
description.
just, we beat the hell out of this man, threw him in the trunk, and almost threatened to murder him. But wow, you went too far. I liked it earlier when they're like trying to get it out when they first started beating him up, and it's like, hey, we're here to listen. If you want to start talking, we're here.
Yeah,
He's just so casual and cool about it. I loved it.
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's that like 80s and 70s dirty cop where they want to do the right thing, but they're just not going to give a fuck about the rules to do it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the scene when he tracks everything and the dogs, and he finds Will laying there like in prayer with his hands folded?
I thought. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
What were you saying? I was gonna say again. I thought Mahershala Ali was just fantastic. Him like casually putting together what he knows is going to be at the end of this trail, and then just the look of despair on his face when he gets to the cave and sees the body.
So he said there was dogs, right? Or there were dogs?
Dog trackers with the other people.
Yeah.
What's that? Say it again.
There was dogs tracking with the crowd, with the search party.
Oh, okay. And he wanted the dogs to do what? I didn't really catch what he was saying on this one.
Well, see, he wanted the dogs to come to help out. Because there's the epicenter where we found Will. Get the dogs to smell Will, and then spread out from there, looking for more clues.
Mm-hmm.
Because they needed a scent. And
Yeah.
Because it was too dark for him to track.
So another
but
thing
then
on
then he
Reddit.
went a little,
Another thing on Reddit is in a trailer for this season, someone like went through the trailer frame by frame, and there's photos that show Will in that same exact pose, like before he was missing. Like someone had taken a picture of him in that pose already.
I saw that too, and if I read through the thread, and somebody also shows the photo of Julie also is in that pose, and they have rosaries, so they think it's from their baptism or something. I don't know baptism, but some sort of...
Yep. Okay, this feeds into my theory.
Yeah. So that was weird. All right, so then that's in episode 1, correct? Or episode 2, but then they find out that Julie's alive. That was the end of episode 1. Like they found her prints at a robbery 10 years later. And now that was like, okay, so that's where we swung a little different from season 1. Because now we have an alive victim who they're going to try and find in 1990 storyline, who we know that it seems like that if they do find her, they don't get any info out of it.
I think the bigger part of this whole series is going to be 1990 because the movie poster, it's the 1990 haircut.
Okay.
So
Well,
I think that's
I'm pumped up. Like that got me going. I was like, oh, okay. I'm really in for this now. That was a nice twist to get me even hooked in deeper.
yeah. Do you want to hear my theory? I think this kind of relates, and this could kind of fit right into there, as to why 1990 is a big deal, a bigger deal.
There's only one detail we need to remind people of before we go into theories.
Go ahead.
Is
Yep.
that the kidnapper or someone sent a note in like cutout letters that said, "Do not worry, Julie is in a good place and safe. The children should laugh. Do not look. Let go." And I also just want to say the pedophile, Teddy LaGrange, is a perfect name for a bad guy. If I was to meet a Teddy LaGrange in real life, I'd be like, I'm not going to shake your hand,
skeevy.
sir. You're
A little skeevy.
I think part of that too is just the LaGrange name sounds similar to a lot of the names from season 1.
Yeah.
Also sounds like strange.
Strange and like gross and LaGrange.
Grange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gruesome.
Yeah.
Just
And Teddy's creepy.
yeah, fit. All right.
There's no grown man named Teddy that actually you trust, except for Teddy Kennedy.
Shane, let's hear your theory. Because I think we got it all wrapped up now. I think we've gone through everything, unless all the big things, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's hear your theory.
Okay, well, give me a little bit of a little rope here. I don't think there was a murder. I think that they had an accident, and that the daughter or the sister panicked and left him there like rosary beads, like the religious thing, placed him because she thought that's what you're supposed to do and leave a body. And in a panic, her stuff. That's what happened to her dolls. And she goes on the run because why go home? She already hates. We know she hates her home life. They both of them do. Their home life sucks. And I think she probably could have written that note that says don't look for me, because why would she knows that children have pretty shitty handwriting. So, and that's also like a very cartoony thing to do like the magazine stuff, letters.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and I think that the story breaks down in 1990 because they pin it on somebody. They pin a murder on somebody, and I think that is the local government, kind of like what we were talking about, Dave. You said the local government is dealing with sex stuff. Mm-hmm. I think the local government is using their strong arms to put someone who they don't want around in jail and frame them for this murder that actually was not even a murder. And they find that out in 1990, and everything crumbles, and Mahershala loses his mind, I put an innocent man in jail as a puppet. What do you think?
I like the theory that they ran off and it was an accident and she placed him like that, because that would be like a peaceful placing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's what happened.
Me neither. I think the letter is too adult for a kid to do that.
I don't
but
think
children should laugh, and they don't have much fun at home.
They did make it like they spelled should wrong. It was SHUD in the spelling, which I thought was interesting tidbit. So it's either someone dumb or maybe a child. The children should laugh. I don't think that sounds like an 11-year-old would write that about herself.
Yeah, maybe not.
I like the
Maybe it was
creativity
like the
of it.
kids.
Thank you. I'm thinking outside the box. I'm thinking because I agree with Dave. I don't think they should. People will be unhappy if it's another government conspiracy covering up a sex ring.
Yeah, but
so
I
I'm
mean,
thinking about away from that.
So
at the
all
end
right.
of season 1, someone pointed out that Marty and Russ did say you're not going to catch them all, but we got ours. I don't know if that
which
leads
leads into my theory.
Yeah.
If you want to play the soundbite I asked you to pull.
Yeah, here it is. It's quiet again.
Did you know at various times since large-scale pedophile rings connected to people of influence were uncovered in the surrounding areas? Do you know about the Franklin scandal? It's been theorized that the straw dolls are a sign of pedophile groups like the Crooked Spiral.
I don't think that's right.
So the Crooked Spiral that they're mentioning is season 1, and the most recent timeline in this is the most recent timeline of season 1. It's not present day. It's not 2018, 2019. It's 2015 when True Detective season 1 is set. So I think this is part of the same pedophile ring. And then, so that's what I thought last night when I was watching it. And reading Reddit today, other people think the same thing because the dolls also had yellow flowers that they were holding. So they think it's part of people still worshiping the Yellow King from season 1. And that's going to be the big twist, is that it's all part of one larger case.
But I did read one article, and it said that the creator came out and said that it was just a hat tip to season 1. That's all that was.
But I mean, if people are guessing that and that's your big twist, you're not going to be like, "Well, you guys got it after one episode." You're going to lie.
That was obvious. I mean, I don't pick up on a lot of things, but I picked up on Crooked Spiral. We all know I get a long story career of missing the blatantly obvious things. So if I picked up on it, I mean, it was meant to be seen.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think what you're thinking is what the average person thinks.
Okay, yeah, maybe. And
it's really going to, like Jimmy said, at the end of the first season, they say they didn't get them all. They just got the ones they were investigating. And This isn't too far from the same spot. This is in Arkansas, and the other one's in Louisiana.
But they could also just be saying bad guys. Can't get them all.
Well, no, they were talking about that particular pedophile ring with the government officials and everything, and the rich people who they wouldn't be able to ever pin it all on.
Maybe.
I'd rather it not be a big ring of people, like a conspiracy. I think it is going to be, but I'd rather it not be.
Which one you like better, me or Dave's theories?
I'd actually I think I'd be more happy if yours was true because it's more interesting and different. Where we're saying, if it's season 1 again, I don't know. I'd rather not do that, but I'm interested right now to see where it goes. The girl who plays that reporter is so beautiful. She's from
I know.
she's from that movie 11/22/63, the JFK James Franco that was on Hulu.
Oh yeah, that's a good series.
Yeah, and she is so pretty, and I enjoy looking at her. She was also in Elias Grace on Netflix.
Wait, is she Doris or Dolores, whatever, the main girl he falls in love with?
In 11/22?
Yeah.
Sadie, yes, she's Sadie.
Sadie. Oh, shit, I didn't realize that was her.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
So, what do you think? So, she comes off as extremely annoying and picky in 2015. But even so, beauty be damned, she's still pushing this poor guy's buttons, trying to get her story across. What do you feel is going on with this Mahershala's character now, 2015? What's the deal with the daughter? How did his wife die? Why is there a rift there? I'll get all kinds of questions about present day.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, it's interesting. But before you said something about that character, the pretty girl doing the interview,
mm-hmm.
I think that she's being used to push how society and news today just use these keywords and think they're solving problems and sounding smart. Like I made this into a clip as well.
Well, I'm interested in the intersectionality of marginalized groups within authoritarian and systemic racist structures.
She says that, acting as if she's trying to benefit them and being interested in them, and throws all these big words their way. And him and his son look at each other like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
you're trying to.
I gave the biggest eye roll for that.
You're trying
That's
to take my
bullshit.
life and put it into that, and I think that's a little shot at media and social justice warriors in a slight way.
Yeah. Well, I think the episode did a good job of showing both sides of it because they were clearly that was poking fun at the hardcore left people who say things like that. But then they showed him in the past, and he was saying, "Why didn't you try and stop them from doing this? They're your tribe. They don't listen to me." Clearly meaning about his skin color. So he did deal with it. Just the words they used weren't what real people use. So he was laughing at them.
Yeah, I think she thinks she's trying to help out and do the right thing, but in reality, she's drudging up all these terrible memories and not doing him a single favor. She's actually just using him for her own benefit, but she's too, millennial conceited to even realize.
Well, another theory, this is 100% from Reddit, I didn't think about this at all until I read it, was that...
Yeah, good. Way to cite your sources.
was that his wife is part of what happened because when he's listening to his recording, it's figure out how much they know is one of the things he tells himself, which is in 2015, and he also mentions that he never ended up reading her full book. So I think at some point while he was losing his mind, he read it and realized that she had details she shouldn't have had during that time period. So he helped cover it for her. And then he wants to make sure he doesn't accidentally give that away in the TV show.
That's not a bad thought.
Someone said like he's gonna read her book and then that's gonna help him solve it. That would be pretty interesting. The other thing is I saw some theories about how like that the theme is gonna be like he's not being taken seriously because they're pushing him aside because he's black and stuff like that. But
I don't know.
Mahershala Ali got sent the script for this, and he was being asked to play the partner. He was being asked to play Roland because the head cop was white, and there wasn't racial themes at all. And Mahershala Ali sent back and said, "I want the lead," and then him and Nick Pizzolatto went and like rewrote it, and then they added in all this stuff about the racial tensions and all that. So I don't think that can play a role in the crime because it was changed after the fact. So I thought that was something interesting people should
That is. But that makes sense to almost on Dave points too. Why he would leave the force in the 90s because that's the book was published in 91 or whatever. So if there was details in there that he should not have released, that's a good reason why he would leave the force.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pizzolatto also said that his memory loss is not giving us a unreliable narrator. Like everything that we see actually happened. That's not going to be a trick. That
is what's happening.
At the end, it's going to be like, oh shit, he remembered that wrong, and that's why we got those scenes, which would suck. So I'm glad he's saying that's not going to happen.
Yeah, that would be terrible.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can do an unreliable narrator good sometimes, but I'm glad this isn't that.
You can't do it with 3 timelines running at the same time. That's just an extra convoluted factor that you don't want.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Anything else? Is that
Keeping
it?
you up.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's it. Do we want to obviously save our rankings and all that till the series is finished?
Probably.
Yeah, got to save it. But right now, it's I'm loving it. I wanted to talk a little bit about like going to Reddit because I'm doing way less than I did for season 1 and 2 because season 2 Reddit figured out by like the 3rd episode they had it answered, and then Westworld Reddit had figured out by like the 5th episode. And they were pretty adamant, too, like, it's this. Now, I don't think Reddit didn't figure out season 1 of True Detective, which made it great, but I don't want that to happen here. So I'm being, like, way more cautious than I used to be because I love going into the weeds. My favorite show was The Leftovers on HBO. That was a big time you spent all week reading theories.
Really?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I remember the first season, someone did figure it out, like, in episode 3. But it got shuffled to the bottom of the list because no one paid attention to it.
Yeah.
That screen grab that said King, Yellow King on it.
Yeah, no, for Westworld, for the season 1, Reddit had it figured out, like, and it was like the masses was like, this is what happened.
Yeah, it was episode 2 as soon as they showed the younger versions of them arriving to the park. Reddit was like, oh, there's different logos, it's different time periods, it's going to be the Man in Black.
Yes, that's what it was, that the Man in Black was the same as the Man in White and it was 2 different timelines. And like right away, they said it. And then it was this big reveal in like episode 8. But if you've been reading up on theories, it was like accepted as that's the truth 6 weeks ago.
Damn.
So I that kind of sucks. And it's hard for
you want to try to pull back a little bit because you want to look for the details. That's half the fun is looking up the little details you might have missed or the theories or whatever.
Yeah, it's great because people.
But you don't want to get spoiled either.
The set designs on season 1 and this, like, they put a lot of thought having that picture frame come off the wall and then showing it. Like, those are cool tidbits that people are putting a lot of thought to when they make the show. So I want to appreciate them and like find those little Easter eggs. but I don't want the ending like a guarantee before it comes.
I think moving forward, I'm going I'll still read the post-episode just threads, but I'll stay out of any of the theory ones because they're pretty good about marking which ones are which.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, my thing was because I'm not really good at Reddit. I already told you guys earlier. The first season, KFC and Barstool did a bang-up job every Monday, compiling everything and putting it on his posts. So that was good for me. It was real easy. I was waiting all day for it. He didn't do it. He's not into it anymore. Sucks.
He did that with The Leftovers on HBO too, and they were so good.
Ugh, he's a great TV blogger, but he's just still friggin' wrapped up in radio and podcasts and shoes.
That's where their money is now.
Dumb podcasts.
Goddamn podcasts. They ruin everything.
All right. Well, that's the end of this one. We'll be back next week, next Monday after we watch it on Sunday. And hope you join us. Send us all your theories. Unless you're absolutely positive they're correct, then don't tell me. Well, that's the end of the show. See you guys later.
Love y'all.
Bye-bye.